Welcome to part 3 of The Hub.
And welcome to Trudi, Sophie and John. As we mentioned before the break, you're here to tell us all about Menopause Madness, which is an event taking place this Friday on the Sunbourne. So what can we expect from this event?
Well,
Here you go.
welcome. Thank you very much, and welcome to Gibraltar because I haven't been here for
Literally
about 3
just
years.
arrived, no?
I have literally landed straight there with Sophie straight through. So I've been on the go to about 6 o'clock this morning. So it's been a long day, but makeup did a great job. So I live in Jersey, Channel Islands, and I've been a health and fitness instructor for many, many years, specialising in women and children, and came over to Spain in 2019 on my route to a new life to be diagnosed with the menopause. I went into this, oh my God, what is all this about? I have absolutely no idea. So, of course, during COVID, lockdown, I did a lot of research to try and build my skill set into that. So that brings me back into going back to Jersey, rebranding, relaunching, and here I am to now try and talk about and preach, and I educate all over the Crown territories about the menopause, and it's all about education.
Absolutely. And so you work for Lottoland?
Absolutely.
So where does Lottoland come into the event that's going on Friday?
Okay, so Lottoland, obviously we're part of the online gambling industry, which is a very competitive industry. Yeah. And so online gambling and obviously financial services are two major industries that are here in Gibraltar. And I attended a conference in Chelsea last year, and I made a speech at a conference where I said, things like diversity, inclusion, well-being, supporting your employees is an area where companies can collaborate and work in a really collegiate way with each other, because we spend so much time competing with each other, commercially. Yeah. But this is where we can really kind of stand up as an industry. Yeah. So I thought, now I've made that speech, I need to make something happen. Yeah. So I had this idea that I needed to do something that was kind of a multi-company event. At the same time, I work for an absolutely extraordinary woman called Leah Koenig, who's our Chief People Officer at Lottoland. And she said, I know this woman who's, again, extraordinary, talented woman, Trudi. She wants to talk to you about menopause awareness. And I thought, this is fantastic. This is like one of the big taboos, which shouldn't be a taboo at all. No. So it's absolutely ripe for companies standing up, showing their values, and kind of, making a real positive impact, not just within their industries, but also servicing their local communities where their people, live. Yeah. So that's how it all started. Yeah. And so I put a shout out around Gibraltar. And the people sponsoring the event are the companies that really kind of stood up and said, we hold this value set. We're about supporting our employees. So we're delighted to be working with Sovereign, and John is here, which is absolutely fantastic.
And John, you're, I believe I'm right in saying, Managing Director in Sovereign, and you're going to kind of talk about how the workplace can incorporate menopause training, because I was looking at some statistics on your website, Trudi, and I think it was something like 72% of when the UK we're talking here, 72% of women in the UK feel like perhaps they're unsupported, their symptoms are unsupported in the workplace.
If you think about it, 51% of the population is women. That's a bit scary. Yeah. But you've probably got about, I think it's about 14 billion that are now in perimenopausal stage all throughout the UK. Yeah. Even more scary. Yeah. So now you're taking it down to corporate. The 50-year-old bracket is where you've got your enhanced force. I mean, if you think about your work and your employees, John, how many sort of the older ladies, I hate calling older ladies, because I'm not an older lady. I refuse to be called that. But they're more experienced, they normally don't have young children, they don't have to run away. Yeah. You don't want to lose that part of your workforce.
No, it's so true. I think from our perspective, and really jumped at the opportunity to sponsor the event because, we've recently started a wellness committee at work. These are important matters for us. And like Sophie said, it is a bit of a taboo, and especially for guys. It's like how do we learn more? Yeah. And so much of this is just being able to understand and listen so that we can support our female employees, or 2/3 of our workforce in Gibraltar alone. And we're a global organisation, but obviously here in Gib, 2/3 are female. You know, someone left school and joined us, and someone be going through right to retirement. You know, from a leadership perspective, how can you really lead properly without understanding the issues?
Yes, definitely.
That's so, you know, that is so important. Everything that I've been preaching, I've been working with Carolyn Harris, who's a Member of Parliament in the UK, and we've been sort of going to Jersey and Guernsey. I'm off to Isle of Man next month. But it's talking about this education, and it's education for everyone. I mean, we've still got a stigma. I mean, we had 2 men or 3 men in Guernsey, 2 men in Jersey, and I'm like, where are the men? Where are the men? Because there's still that, oh, well, not my problem, not my part, you know, your part, your problem. And, you know, I was just talking to John before, and I said, you know, you're at an age when your wife is still young enough, but the thing now is to be educated, because the most important part for everybody
is to feel supported.
Absolutely. And I sort of this week I managed to sort of go in and do a session with Jersey Finance. And it was really important to see that the younger age generation were all there. They were all 20s. And I was like, whoa, this is a little bit different. This is not what I'm used to. And they came out, and the comments that they said at the end of the session were like, if I had understood what my mum was going through, I'd have been more understanding. So I was like, well, OK, bit too late. But now you know what you've got coming to you.
I think there's always this thing where people don't want to talk about the menopause because, you know, it's taboo, you know, nobody needs to know your business. But realistically, you have colleagues, we all have colleagues who, you know, might want the aircon on a little bit more, who might, you know, be a little bit moodier. And it's not because nobody chooses to go through menopause. I know that sounds really ridiculous,
it's
but
a part of life.
It's part of life. Absolutely. And the worst thing is to be told, come on, like, it's a woman's thing.
Absolutely.
And it's like, really?
Actually,
you know, it's like...
Do you know what was so funny, actually, going back, and it's funny that we're sitting here talking about this in Gibraltar, was actually when I arrived in Spain in 2019, I was working in the offshore finance industry, and I wasn't on any HRT then, and I came over here with nothing, and I was in the trust industry over here, and of course, it was August. Now, I was just starting off then, massive hot sweats. I used to go to the gym, come back in, and I'd be like, oh my God. And the aircon would be working, and everyone would be like, are you okay? And I'd be like, no, I'm not okay. I don't know what's going on. I'm not okay. But even as a fitness expert, and I would call myself, because I had trained women and children all the way through. I've qualified in all areas of fitness. I knew nothing about the menopause. And I said to my mum, like, I'm the only daughter, I'm the only child. Mum, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you talk to me?
Because people didn't speak about it. They don't speak about menopause, they don't speak about periods, they don't speak about anything, because that's something that a woman does behind closed doors and nobody needs to know.
Absolutely.
It's ridiculous. But so talking about the menopause, so how can we support, like talking about what you're going to be talking about on Friday, how can we support our friends and our colleagues and our relatives who are going through menopause? Like, what are your...
Well, I mean, there's 34 symptoms, and I saw it flash up across there. And unless we've got another hour, which I don't think you have. But you know, the main thing is you've got to. I always combine them. There's the physical side and there's a psychological side. And once you start to understand that, then you can empathise. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be a menopause expert. We were saying that to John today. You know, like, John, don't worry. You don't have to go in knowing about the menopause. It's just, really, honestly. But it's just to say, look, I'm here. The doors are open. And I think that's what I'm trying to get now with the event, is to say this is open to everyone. I know it's a work day, and I know that some employers may not feel that people can take that time off, which is a real shame. But people can come in and out. They can come to one workshop and drop in, take an early lunch, because that's really important, because there are so many people that I've had private messages from Gibraltar saying we really need to know how to get help. So I would have loved to get the government involved and the Parliament, but, you know, life is a bit short at the moment, but we'll get there. I'll be on it with Sophie.
And you know what? It's going to be an absolutely fantastic event. I mean, you can see Trudy's an absolute marvel. Really engaging. It's going to be informative. It's going to be educational. It's going to be fun. What's not to love? You know, there's limited spaces available still. People can register for the event. It's free to attend. so it's not going to cost you anything in your pocket.
And just to clarify, it's on Friday morning, 10 in the morning. There's the first session, which is about awareness and education. Then 11 in the morning, second session, which is more about in the workplace, I think, and educating in that manner. And the third section, self-care, mental health.
That's to tie in with the Mental Health Awareness Week, or a month, really, as we sort of pushed it through. And it's going to be interesting because the second session with the workplace, I'm going to drag John up to the platform to talk to me, or talk with me, I should say. And then the third part, we've got Nifa from Lottoland, who's a resilience coach herself. So we've said that we'll do the same thing. So it's learning for women who are going through this. It's learning how to deal with anxiety, how to deal with depression, because, we have to put an element on us to help ourselves on the holistic lifestyle, but also medical. But of course, the awareness is to get HR managers, directors in to understand the importance of what we're trying to get through.
And can I just say, just really quickly, I mentioned earlier that both Lottoland and Sovereign have really kind of stood up to be counted, and really kind of promote this subject. But also, we're working with William Hill on this project as well. They're one of our co-sponsors. So a big shout out to them. They've been absolutely awesome. And of course, we've also got the Specialist Medical Clinic and GBC attending as well, and they're going to take the opportunity to kind of further educate around kind of the services that they can provide locally as well from a medical
health. And that's quite important from my perspective, especially when you're trying to do this, that, from an outsider, to have as much support from the local community. Definitely. I mean, I know what Jersey's like, you're trying to go in there, and I'm a Jersey girl, but to come in and as an outsider, it's been really, really touching to see how many employers are up for this. So we just want to embrace as many people as we can.
Yes, and Trudi, worth mentioning, I mean, you've come across so positive and energetic this evening. We're looking forward to seeing you back on GBC on Monday.
Yes,
Powder room.
I know, the powder room. Yeah. That's going to be interesting.
Good stuff. It's an absolute pleasure to have all of you on the sofa, and I hope Fridays. I'm sure it's going to go great. It's about a really interesting topic that needs to be spoken about. More education on it, definitely. So Friday morning at the Sunbourne, Menopause.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.